Всем привет! Сегодня смотрим биатлон. Получается, мужская эстафета. Конти-Лахти, первый этап. Участники готовятся. Турла Холмла Грейт на первом этапе бежит за Норвегию. Готовятся спортсмены гонки. Второй стартует немец. Так, Норвегия. Смотрим состав. Турла Холмла Грейт. Второй Тарибё, Эндрис Троцхейм и Йоханнесбюм. Германия Давид Зомбель, Йоханнес Кюн, Филипп Наврат и Филипп Хорн. Италия. Элизейни, Томас Джакамель, Дербианас. Франция, Фабиан Клод, Кентен Фенме, Эрик Перо и Эмилия Жаклин. Швеция. Виктор Бранк, Еспер Нейлин, Мартин Паншело, Мария Себастьян, Самуэльсон.
And, plenty of those athletes who competed yesterday returning, including Sebastian Samuelsson, who will bring it back home for the Swedes. Could they place highly today and potentially have one eye on a podium?
It all depends on the man in the start order right now, and that is they put Victor Brandt in there. Brandt is not anywhere near the speed even Jesper Nalin. But, as we talked about yesterday in the relay, the first leg is usually pretty tame and pretty calm, and you can, as long as you have somebody who can hang with the leaders and shoot well, that is a task. And Brandt just has to keep them within striking distance of the top three. Campbell, right? The United States going first for the foursome from the U.S. as well.
So underway here in Kontiolahti, day 2. And it's the men's 4x7.5k relay. Norway wearing 1, Germany 2, Italy 3, France 4, Sweden with 5 on their chest, Austria 6, Switzerland 7, Slovenia 8, Czechia 9, and Finland with 10.
You can see get a good look at the course now. It definitely looks much warmer and softer than it did even during the single mixed relay yesterday. So different course conditions. All 3 races we've seen so far this weekend in Kontiolahti have different course conditions.
Подпишитесь на канал, поставьте лайки, кто любит биатлон.
They open up so that the start of the relay they can actually double the width of the course so that athletes through, and a lot of people use that to get ahead on that before they hit the turn.
Just how key will a good start be? Obviously, when we compare it, of course, to what we saw yesterday in the single mix, a lot more time to correct anything that goes wrong. But how key will be getting around this first lap and into shooting well be, Chad?
It's usually largely inconsequential, to be honest. I mean, the biggest thing is it's a promenade, essentially. You get out there and you kind of dance around the first loop. Nobody's going to really try to get away. At least normally nobody will unless they feel like the conditions are slow and might be able to do some damage to them. But really, a lot of times when you go out and strike out on your own at the front of a World Cup first lap of a World Cup relay, the only person you're probably going to challenge the most is yourself in trying to calm yourself for that first shooting stage. So we tend to see relative pedestrian first laps, and the race really kind of begins with the first shooting stage, typically.
Так, первая отсечка. Смотрим. Турла Холмла Грейт на втором зоне Италия. Фабиан Клод третий.
Campbell Wright chomping at the bit for the United States, moves up from 12th to 4th already by the first time check. He's certainly looking like he's game on for the season.
He was due to go yesterday in the mixed relay. The USA though lap, so he didn't get an opportunity. So he's one of them who is on fresh legs today. And how nice is it, Chad? Obviously, with the stream of talent that comes through the USA, to have someone as hyped as Campbell Wright at the moment.
Well, I think he's kind of setting a new tone for the team. We have some talent on the United States team that is that just kind of needed another spark plug to make a foursome. And I think that foursome, well, it's 6 guys for 4 spots.
Поддержать канал, ссылка по трансляции на данной
competing at the World Cup. And the United States hasn't been in that situation in men's biathlon, maybe ever, to have that kind of depth, to have 6 athletes, to actually have to earn your spot to make the World Cup team in the top 4. And then if you're not, you actually have a shot at a top 10 at an IBU Cup if you go. So, you know, I actually work with Paul Schomer a little bit on the side, who was on the U.S. biathlon team and won the trials. And he's going to try to come back and race the second half of the season. And he's excited to go to the IBU Cup because he thinks he can contend for a win. That's kind of a nice place for the United States team.
A good shot of the conditions there.
Не хочет идти вперед.
The glare of the lights on the snow. Still a little bit glazed where the skis have gone. But the camera lens tells you the story that it's so wet. There's a good shot of that wall. And a good shot of Campbell right at the bottom, following Sturlaholm Lagerreid of Norway. Lagerreid, obviously one of the top athletes in the sport altogether. So solid on the shooting range. He's got a slew of podiums. He was on the IBU Cup, well, I think it was 4 years ago, and then in Kontrabak, he broke out here 3 years ago and got on the podium in the first World Cup race of the season, and he's never looked back. Now he's a 3-time individual world champion and one of the biggest names in the sport. And he just kind of had a meteoric rise, and sometimes it happens with athletes. You don't even necessarily see it coming.
He's leading the way for a very strong Norwegian team, none of which competed yesterday. Fresh legs all round. And the Bow brothers, we get our first glimpse. Talia and Johannes Singers will be the 5-time now overall Crystal Globe winner who will bring it home for Norway.
I was trying to get your bearings on the first World Cup of the season. The new suits, the United States goes from a navy blue to a royal blue. And the Italian suits is really the one that's throwing me off, both in Nordic skiing and in biathlon. They look like Finns to me, or French, but you're just trying to watch the tones of the blue to know which team is which.
There are plenty of similarities between our top 4 at the minute.
Yeah.
And the colours. Thankfully, it's very clear on the camera there as we see Campbell Wright following Norway's Sturlaholm Lagerreid into the range for the first time.
Each athlete shooting twice in each of their legs, 4 legs total. They go 7.5 kilometers, 2.5 kilometer loop 3 times for each athlete. This first shooting stage, they will shoot on their bib number. It's the only shooting stage all race that they will shoot on their bib number from this point on. After this shooting stage, they will file into the range in the order they are in the race. But you can see everybody kind of peeling off to where they're assigned to shoot. That's just to kind of create order in the first shooting stage. And the other thing that's nice about this is they zero their rifles on paper before the race, and they zero in on the number they're shooting on the first stage. So see the United States up top. Campbell Wright has 2 down quickly, 3 down. So Campbell Wright very quickly at the top, and he's got to miss in the third shot. Germany is 3 for 3. Norway is 5 for 5 clean. Lagerreid does his job. France goes clean 5 for 5. Italy, Germany, all clean 5 for 5. Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Finland, and they're out of there. United States is out of there with 1 extra round. And leading the shooting range, it is Lagerreid by 2.5 seconds over Zobel of Germany. Fabian Claude for France in third. And field really not a real decisive shooting stage there, as the top 15 teams are all in the 15 seconds. So 1 team per second on average. It was it didn't do much to thin out the field that first shooting stage.
No, not at all. Not much to separate. Well, there's 10 seconds back to 10th. So that tells you everything you need to know about that first shooting stage. As we on board there with Sturlaholm Lagerreid.
So now we have to go to the second stage or to the ski course to start finding some differentiation between the teams. And like you asked, Ellen, now is the time that you're going to start seeing some people throw down some skiing performances, and their skiing becomes a bigger factor in the competition. This is number 4, Fabian Claude. following the lead of Lagride. Lagride is a 88% prone shooter. He shot better than that, shot perfect 100% there. It was 88% last season. 85 from the standing position. Frenchman, 85 and 78 by comparison. So he's a full 8% worse at the standing shooting than the man he's following right now as they get on the second loop and head towards the standing stage.
As well, fresh legs. France opting to start with an athlete who wasn't racing yesterday. Blue to the back of Stella Holmlaglide. The next marker we will get time checks on is 3.7 kilometres. Fabien Claude, of course, part of that silver medal winning team in the Beijing 2022 Olympic Games. As the athletes approach and come through 3.7 kilometres.
Lagride leads. You see the 0 plus 0, that's the key there. 0.6 of a second separating the first two teams. And this is David Sobel from Germany, then David Komatz of Austria in the fourth spot. Campbell Wright moved back up to fifth despite a missed shot. So Wright moving very well on the course. It seems like Campbell Wright cannot wait for the season to begin. Tugging at the rope like a dog trying to pull his master on a walk.
What would Campbell Wright see as a good outcome from this season? Obviously, you know, we talk about meteoric rises. He's had such a big impact since he started on the World Cup circuit. What do you think he'll see as a success from this season?
I think he's probably, well, he spent a lot of the season sick last year, and I think that's a really hard place to come back from. The fact that he actually got in the top 10 a couple times off of sickness early in the season is almost a miracle. It shows you just what level of athlete and talent we're dealing with Campbell Wright. But I think that he's going to probably want to see at least a podium finish on a World Cup individual competition. And I think they'd all like to see, you know, maybe something like a new nation's best, at least in the last 20 years. If they can go in the top 5 in the relay or better, get on a podium in the relay, I think that's probably something that all the American men are keen to do this year. And I think he's leading that charge is probably Campbell Wright.
Currently in that big trailing group that sit around at the last checkpoint. Just under 8 seconds back on Lagride and Claude.
Campbell Wright was 12.8 seconds back after the first shooting in the last time check. He was 9 seconds back, so he's making time on Lagride. See that. We'll have to watch the ski loop for leg number 1 after the second ski loop and see what his ski time is.
Support starting to build up the side of the wall. And as we've said already plenty of times over the course of this weekend, that camera angle not doing complete justice. You can see how hard they're working. Just a second separating the top two. Norway leading from France.
The gap to the chase group was 7.6 seconds last time. Now it's 10. So the chase is slowing a little bit compared to the speed of Claude hanging tight 1 second back, so getting a little bit of advantage. But you know, the leads in these biathlon races aren't those tenths of seconds made on the course. It really comes down to shooting performance and whether you can knock the shots down and you don't waste any time on the range.
Well, a little word was that between our leading pair. What do you think was being said there, Chad?
Perhaps discussing who wants to lead into the shooting. One of the things about being in the first position is you don't have to see the athlete behind you, especially if you're a right-handed shooter, which both of these athletes are.
Фабиану Клоду, но он тоже как бы не горит желанием.
Up into third. Vyacheslav Holnik competed yesterday in the single mix, the 25-year-old. And just behind him, now Germany and Jurval. And Wright in fifth as they approach this next shooting stage.
And Hornig really not the capacity athlete that you'd expect to make a move on the field like this early in the race. He's a personal best finish of 40th in the World Cup competition. He's a much slower ski speed statistically.
Второй шотинг, вторая стрельба.
Maybe taking extra risk for no reason at this point.
Если спортсмен промахивается, то 3 дополнительных патрона, чтобы закрыть.
And the athletes tend to maybe make decisions like Hornig is right now, just making a surge out of emotion more than actual tactic.
So here we go into the range for the second time. Norway and France side by
Здорово
side.
Против Фабиана Клода. Пока чисто.
Both 2 for 2, 3 for 3. And both clear and out. Neck and neck.
Synchronized shooting, it's great when that happens. Matching each other shot for shot.
Germany 4 for 4 as well. And go clear, as do the USA and Campbell Wright.
Great start for the American team. Still in the top 5.
Закрывает у Швеции проблемы. Италия закрывает с дополнительным патроном. Бельгия закрывает дополнительным патроном. Остальные с дополнительным патроном закрывают. Италия только 8-е место.
It is indeed, and the athletes from 3rd
Швеция только на 12-м.
Not much to separate them at all. Quite a big trailing pack at this point.
32-7.
Still incredibly early stages of this competition.
Yeah, Dovzhan, the fastest shooting time in that standing stage, 17.5 seconds from poles down to poles up. Campbell Wright, 24.7. He's 7th fastest on the range that time. Lagride comes in 24 seconds even, so 7/10ths faster than Wright. But the point is, Campbell Wright is shooting competitively with the rest of the top of the field. And Dovzhan is fastest, Ronza, Stoller, both at 18 seconds, so about 22. 17.5 seconds is really fast shooting for Dovzhan. He needs to do that because he really doesn't have the ski speed to compete.
Нам все теперь нужно выкладываться на полную мощность. Стрельбы больше не будет.
On to the last lap for this leg. They'll tag off to their second leg skiers. For Norway, that's Tarjei Bø. And we'll get the first look at the Bø brothers in the form of Tarjei. Tarjei having one of his best seasons ever last year at the ripe young age of 35, now 36 years of age. And his season last year, he finished 2nd in the overall standings. The only season he's done better than that was when he won the overall World Cup standings back in 2010, 2011. So Tarjei Bø coming off of the 2nd best season of a long career, late in his career.
Well, it's interesting what Johannes Tingers, his younger brother, was saying about wanting to make sure he keeps beating Tarjei because he doesn't want Tarjei to have some big wins and then retire before Johannes Tingers has an opportunity to beat Bjørndalen's incredible records and something that, well, we'd likely probably not to see beaten again within our lifetime.
Yeah, if it's in our lifetime, it's going to be at least late in our lifetime. I'm going to be an older gentleman by the time those get beat. There's nobody really in you and I talked, we look back into the field of youngsters, and right now nobody really taking the mantle that Johannes Tingesbø did when he was younger, that as an indicator that he was going to go to the highest level. I remember the first time Martin Fourcade was calling the Olympics in 2010, the biathlon competitions, and this young guy never heard of. We knew his older brother, Simon Fourcade, but then the young guy named Martin, who was 20 years old at the time, he finished in the silver medal spot in the mass start, and I believe it was a mass start. But yeah, he had an incredibly fast ski time, much faster than Bjørndalen, and you knew there was something special right then. And we haven't seen that sort of manifestation of a Johannes Tingesbø nor a Martin Fourcade in a young athlete at 20 years of age, like we did in those two athletes' cases.
Well, after the end of the 2026 season, it is something that we will certainly be looking out for. Another overall Crystal Globe win this year would take him level with Bjørndalen, the king of biathlon. And then you imagine it will be sights set on beating the Olympic records in terms of medals collected, and of course going for a 7th to be the outright He could do it. Be the king at that point, wouldn't it? Take the crown.
And I think that if you look at the rate of which we're not even over 21 seasons, which is mind-boggling and almost mind-boggling to think about. Just these single focus cars. Claude now really putting the hammer to lag ride, and this is something we talked about at the top of the show. Fresh legs don't always mean good things. And you can see Fabian Claude really making lag ride struggle now. Lag ride can't really manage it, and you see it in Campbell Wright too. Campbell Wright is looking really tired now. He's still in 5th place, but losing time to the leaders. Fabian Claude really across the field in his first leg on the skis.
Well, Fabian Claude launching his attack to try and send France through the first exchange in the lead. He'll be handing over to Fillon-Maillet, second place in the single mixed relay yesterday.
Lag just picking up the pieces, trying to keep it close. Doesn't need to necessarily tag off first, but this is more of a point of pride than it is for anything for Sturlaholm Lagride as he hands off to Tarjei Bø. And we're going to have a nice battle between the French and the Norwegian teams. And it's kind of a nice battle all the way through the competition as Eric Perrault, the youngest athlete of the French team, will go up against the least experienced and youngest athlete of the Norwegian team in Ender Stromsheim. So these athletes all know each other very well. Perrault and Stromsheim cut their teeth on the IBU Cup at the same time and have graduated up to their senior national teams on the World Cup. Claude looking very, watch Claude's steps, very sharp and crisp at the end of the kick. Lagrade a little bit soft at the end of his push. Just focus on where the ski comes off the ground. That little bit of dynamism shows you that Claude's body working a little bit better for him today.
So final turn and into the exchange. France will hand over first. And it is Fillon-Maillet. 3-4 with the number 2 to indicate his place in the order. He will pick up for France. Right hand over.
9,60.
Seconds. 6 behind, puts it to 10.
I think the key today for Quentin Fillon-Maillet is to try to get his shooting under control. We saw him melt down yesterday.
Швейцария передает третий.
And give up the lead, and that's not something typical of Fillon-Maillet when he has more confidence. So, in the sport, you know, it's like big sluggers in Major League Baseball. As we see the United States and Slovenia come in, so Campbell Wright really slowing down that last loop, drops to 40 seconds back. But much like big sluggers in baseball, this is sport on the shooting is much about like momentum and mental confidence. And I think Fillon-Maillet is still trying to search for that for the last couple of years now, where he doesn't feel infallible.
Finland handing over there as well. On home snow, they're wearing bib number 10. It's Birkenhalter of Switzerland who is now up into 3rd. And as you can see on the screen, those splits from exchange. Switzerland 26.1 behind.
Minute 3 seconds separating the first 15 teams. It's really not a big spread of time to 15th place. A minute swing from now to the end of the competition is certainly possible, but there's nobody at the back that we really expected to be at the front right now. If you think about the order of this competition, France first, Norway second, Switzerland third, Slovenia fourth, United States fifth. You know, Germany you might consider Germany, Sweden should be further towards the front, but they're only 43 seconds back. That's a pretty good job by Brandt. I would call that mission accomplished for Brandt, actually, with his ski ability. Now it's up to the 3 strong legs of Sweden to work their way through the field and get them back into medal contention.
Jesper Nalen is on this leg for Sweden.
Back in
2018, of course, played a massive role in that victory.
Отставание стало 7,8
as well, and world champion in this event.
От лидера.
Tarjei Bø trailed by 9 seconds to Fillon-Maillet at the exchange. He's 7.8 back now, so he's the lone athlete making time on Fillon-Maillet. Everybody else staying even or losing time so far. First time took 8.7 kilometers.
Esterneelen, Blanche,
Maxime Germain very interesting story. Germain has French.
Неизвестные какие-то спортсмены.
French and American parents. He split kind of his whole life between France and the United States. Has a little bit of a French accent if you talk to him. Very interesting guy, 23 years of age, but has some nice performances in the World Cup. His best World Cup finish is 45th, but he's still very young at 23 years of age. At the Junior World Championships, he has a bronze medal in the sprint competition and against Campbell Wright. Campbell Wright won that race. They actually trained his teammates, even though Campbell Wright was still competing for New Zealand at the time. Campbell Wright, much the same as Maxime Germain, has two different parents from 2 different countries. Campbell Wright's parents are from the United States, but he was born and raised in New Zealand.
Yep, 2 dual nationality athletes, both competing for the USA, also roommates as well. Actually, he was joking last season, saying he peaked early in the season, and well, I'm sure the USA team would be quite happy for him to show some of that early season form and launch them further up the order here through 8.7, USA in 9th.
Нет, проиграл. Карибион. Секунду.
That's a good sign that Maxime Germain is feeling good, at least in the early part of this race.
В одном темпе примерно идут.
Bid number 7.
Тяжело идет подъем. Швейцарец. Видно, как ему тяжело.
Burkhalter, I would say probably the second weakest link of the Swiss team. The strongest athlete went first, Sebastian Stalder. Nicholas Hartweg also very strong. Stalder and Hartweg, I think, are guys that can actually compete for victories at some point in their career. Maybe after Tardieu has retired, but still, Hartweg and Stalder really can bring the Swiss team into these World Championships in Lenzerheide with some excitement.
Vidmar and Slovenia up into 3rd, Burkhalter 4th, but still Diomaye for 1-2.
France and Norway now pulling away from the field, a big gap, nearly 30 seconds from Bö to Vidmar, and there's a big group racing for 3rd spot, and in that group is Switzerland, Czech Republic, Germany, Sweden, Austria, Belgium, the United States. And then there's another drop back to Podruchny in the Ukraine, another 8 seconds back.
Ветер усилился. Даже 6 км в час.
First into the range, closely followed by Talia Bo.
Good start. Want to see that first one go down, kind of breathe a sigh of relief. You can see the graphic on the left of the screen showing the wind. Wind kind of coming at them and shots left to right, but perfect shooting for the Frenchmen, and that's exactly what the French need to see.
Leon.
Diomaye, 82% point position, and Tardieu now with a miss. That's going to give about 10 to 12 seconds to the Frenchman, as he's already through the time check after the first shooting of
Один дополнительный патрон. Бельгия 2 промаха. Швеция может. Австрия чисто. Германия чисто. Словения 1 дополнительный. Швеция 1 дополнительный.
Austria, the big winner, they went 5 for 5. They're going to move up the standings and into 3rd. Ader taking the opportunity to fill that void after Tardieu with a clean shooting stage puts them not in contention for the win, but in a great spot to take a podium spot.
Те, кто
as well, not far behind him for Germany. Brilliant prone accuracy last season, 92%.
Look at the shooting time of that group. The fastest shooter of that group was Ader. He was clean. Then he was 2 seconds clear of Nadezhda Kubiniak of Poland, and a full, let's see, 5 seconds faster than Fiumae. So Simon Eder gained 5 seconds on that shooting stage on the leader, Quentin Fiumae. Fiumae taking his time, but he got them all down. I think the key is you'd rather give up those 5 seconds and make sure you have all hits.
No surprise to see that from Simon Eder. Similar to what we saw from him yesterday. Drawn very well in the single mixed. Finishing 4th with Lisa Taliza Hauser. 19th season competing on the circuit, now 41 years old.
Yeah, I don't remember a biathlon season without Simon Eder. At this point, he's been and his father Alfred Eder did the same thing. He competed in the Olympics in 1994 at the age of 40. So longevity of the Eder family in the sport of biathlon, he and his father together spanning 40 years in the sport.
Absolutely incredible. So Fiumae, quite some way ahead of Talia Bo.
Сколько проигрывает Талиба?
23.3.
Отсечки.
Difference at 11.2 kilometers.
Speaking back a couple seconds, he was 25.7 back after the shooting stage. So Talia looks good. His skiing is snappy. But honestly, Ellen, these early races, it is kind of tough to know which ski was going to show up on day one. You don't know if he's going to have that snap. You see Jesper Nelin, he has that race in him yesterday. He's looking pretty solid right there in the ski technique. He's looking very, very dynamic.
And they've climbed 3 places as well since exchange. Sweden up into 5th now.
Martin, 11, Czech Republic. Clean shooting for Czech Republic, but still sitting in 11th spot. Would hope to be a little bit higher with 0+0.
Ukraine as well, flicking around 8, 9, 10, currently in 9th. They had such a good day yesterday, Ukraine. Performing well, 2 top 10 finishes in the single mixed and the mixed. 6th in the single mixed. Good day for Ukraine.
Ukraine has had a great women's relay program. They went a stretch of 3 straight Olympics winning medals in the women's relay. They're not that level anymore, but there was a time when you could just count on the Ukrainian women's team to step up and win a medal at a major championship in the Olympics. But far cry from that, they had so much to deal with. Keep the sporting programming alive and flourishing.
Fiumae making his way up the wall, well supported from the stands. Into the French flag in there as well. Talia turn to drive. This formidable slope. He
keeps making about 2 seconds per time check. So time check. Boo left the shooting range.
Борьба продолжается.
Fiumae at 25 seconds back. Now he's 21.7 seconds back. He's moved back a total of 5 seconds over.
За 3-е место особенно. Очень много
big group
желающих.
come through the checkpoint. 7 athletes all within 2 seconds, 3 seconds of each other.
Maxime Germain now has moved into the 3rd spot, keeping that in medal contention. As you said early in the show, you asked what Campbell Wright would like, and I think Campbell Wright would like to see exactly what he's seeing happen right now. With the United States sticking their nose into it for real in a relay like this.
Jake Brown will be up next for the United States. Fiumae, who's now coming into the range for shooting 2 of this leg, shooting 4 of overall. Wipe the glasses before moving them onto the top of his head.
Nobody to contend with for Fiumae. He's got to range all to himself before he removes his rifle from his back. Now coming in the sight, Talia Boo. but the time melts away if you miss. Nice shot at the target. 6 o'clock hit. Primary hit. Dead center X. That one's right on the edge. Almost, the fourth shot almost didn't go down. But everything else was well inside the target.
And he's out before Taliabo even comes into his point to shoot.
So now the Norwegians feeling the heat of the Frenchmen, forcing their hand a little bit to try to catch up, because now it gets into his mind, does Taliabo, that he needs to do something a little more special than what he's doing to make up time on the Frenchman. But he comes in like clockwork, and he's out of there quickly. Germain now against Sweden, Germany, Austria, and Italy, all on the range for the third spot on the podium. And Germain starts with a miss.
Yeah, it's Austria and Italy who get off the mark quicker, despite coming in later. 2 misses now for the USA. Sweden with a miss as well. Germany dipping into the extra rounds. Slovenia, big winners from that amongst this group of 6 who have come in around the same time.
Italy comes across the line in third spot ahead of Eder of Austria. They're 47 and 49 seconds back respectively. Nélin with a little bit of trouble. Nélin really needed a clean stage there, and he left one standing and had to chase it. So now a minute back to 6th place for the United States, and watch where Nélin comes in for the Swedes.
It will be 10th.
1:15 back. It's a big gap now with 2 stages, 2 legs to go.
This is Taliabo. Look back at his final visit to the range of the day.
Back out on course. Going on that longer turn. They lengthened that turn yesterday from the first strip of snow you see inside there to your left. The athletes kind of come crashing into that turn a little too quickly and a little bit treacherous, so they pushed out to run that hill out a little bit more safely before having the athlete turn left.
Particularly today, that seems to be a good idea, doesn't it, with just how quick the course is.
Yes.
A balmy 3 degrees. Comparison to yesterday, where we ended the day with quite heavy snow. Biatlon through the 13.7 check mark.
Ironically, the warm temperatures probably actually sped up the track because of that new snow. That new snow needed to melt off to make the course as fast as it is today.
Taliabo, 0.24 or 24 seconds now behind, so he's eaten up 5.5 seconds since coming out the range.
The gloves are off for Taliabo. He's not holding back anymore. He's going to try to make as much time on Quinton-Fillon-Maillet as he can, if not just for this performance, but to kind of spark some high power output and kind of prime his body for the rest of this first week of competition here in Portugal.
Giacomal as well, Italy closing the gap. 7 seconds. They've eaten into the time that they left the range. Simon Eder around the same point as well.
Look at the skiing on Maxime Germain.
I was about to say, incredible.
Making time on Quinton-Fillon-Maillet. He was 103 back. He's 55 back now, and he's gone past Vidmar of Czech Republic, and he's closing in now on Simon Eder. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches Eder and goes by him by the finish.
Both him and Campbell Wright putting the USA in a very good position. It's the final lap of the course for the athletes on leg 2 of this men's 4x7.5 kilometre relay. And it is France leading the way. Quinton-Fillon-Maillet.
The United States doing it off of good skiing, because the shooting performance, they already have 5 misses between the first 2 legs. And they're still sitting just 55 seconds back. About a kilometer from the second exchange. It's a solid ski performance by both Germain and Campbell Wright. But Jake Brown now will get the tag.
And that's Taliabo, who's coming into sight. The shots before, it was all Quentin Fillon-Maillet all by himself, but as starts to make his way up the bottom of the wall, Talia Bow, the gap is closing, but just by how much?
Last time check, it was 24 seconds. He's actually losing time. He lost a second to Fillon-Maillet from 13.7 to 14.4. So Quentin Fillon-Maillet punching back a little bit. Not much though. It's all negligible. It's 1.1 seconds he took back. But Boo trying to fire up his legs, and you can see the effort from Maxime Germain as trying to slow him ever so slightly as Aders creeps up on him from Austria. And Johannes Kuhn jump skating up top.
Yeah, a great lap from Johannes Kuhn.
Kuhn left the shooting range in 8th place, 109 back. He's now in 5th place, 56 back. And he's threatening to move into the top 3, and Germany would love to get on the podium.
Philipp Nadrat is next up for Germany. It's a team that performed quite well last season, to be fair, this German side. Through the range, but not stopping into the penultimate exchange.
Germany finishing second in the overall standings for the men's relay last year. It's the best season they've had in almost a decade from a relay perspective. They're on the podium every single one of the relays. They didn't win one, but they were second or third in all 5 editions. So it's picking up where they left off. They're a little bit off the podium now, but they can certainly get there by the finish.
So France handover. Fillon-Maillet, his job is done. Eric Perrault picks up the charge for this 3rd leg. Also on this leg yesterday in the mixed relay, the 23-year-old. And a youngster that plenty of, well, particularly those of a French persuasion are getting quite excited about. Norway, 28.4 down.
Talia Bow definitely got slower in the second half of that. And that's what happens often, is you go out there and you have a big appetite and you try to make all that time in the first half of the loop. And then you tire yourself out and you fatigue and you start losing that time that you're trying to make up in the first place.
Italy handing over in 3rd. They're 41 seconds down. Germany 55.4. USA not far behind them though. Brown on this 3rd leg for the USA. Yes, talk us through the closers for the USA, Chad.
Well, Jake Brown is he's been a strong collegiate cross-country skier in the United States. He started out as a collegiate runner with a 5-kilometer run, ran for Princeton for a year, and then decided he didn't want to run anymore. He skied in high school, came back to the Midwest and skied, and ran for the St. Olaf College, where they won a Division III national championship, largely on his addition to their cross-country running squad. But that's really where he developed into more of an elite-level cross-country skier. It was at St. Olaf. And spent 1 year at Northern Michigan University as a D2 skier on a scholarship as a grad student, and moved on to biathlon. Tried biathlon, and now has been on part of the U.S. biathlon team for a better part of 5-6 years. Brown has a lot of experience. If he can keep his shooting under control and manage his effort on the course, he can keep the United States in this position. But Brown has been known to have epic meltdowns from the standing position. If he can just keep his head about him and not build the pressure on himself in the shooting range, that's probably the key for Jake Brown and the United States team.
Yeah, consistency needed on these last 2 legs. After seeing Jaman and Campbell Wright have put the USA in a strong position. Strong side, 29.7 down. And it's Bionats for Italy. Again, one of the athletes competed yesterday, but part of this group of young Italian talent who, well, there's no doubt that the Italian Federation will be looking at and pinning some high hopes on with the Olympics coming to Italian snow in 2026. Consoloma just under a minute down.
Jake Brown has a nice ride on Ponsaloma. The big thing that Brown has to watch is that he doesn't overemphasize his effort on the skis and gets sucked into doing something, skiing at a pace that he can't shoot well at. Lightning for Austria, trailing by 3 seconds back to the Americans.
Ponsaloma, who's on the final leg for Sweden yesterday in the mixed relay as they took third. Sebastian Samuelsson, who will try and bring it home for Sweden again on the single mix with Ella Halverson yesterday.
Here's Eric Perrault, really beautiful skier. Tall, lanky skier, but you can see his angles and his body weight and how he uses his vectors to ski well. His uphill technique is the one the technique he's in right now is not my favorite, but he is awesome on the flats and gradual downhills and gradual uphills. He's got a very smooth technique, one of the best technicians France has ever had in the speed techniques.
And he goes through 16.9. Still on time. Approaching that checkpoint. So not far behind him.
It's interesting to see Bianat and Strumsheim, how they compare to each other. The United States still in the picture in 6th place. Brown letting Ponsaloma go now just a little bit, and that's probably a smart move by Jake Brown on the right-hand side of the screen. Bianat's now into the time check. Where is he going to be? He was at the exchange. He was 41 seconds back, and this is going to be 45, so he's losing 4 seconds to Perrault. Perrault showing that he's in good shape.
It's trying to climb as well, just losing a little bit of time. There's not much between it though. Still a 30-second there and thereabouts gap as Eric Perrault, French youngster, leads the way.
So hard to get into a race when you have gaps like this late in the field. Trying to maintain contact so you have the ability to move into placings. And when you're in the position of Belgium right now or even Finland, it's very hard to get back into those top spots and get into the top 10. Belgium holding on to the top 10 spots right now as we go to the first of 2 shooting stages of the third leg. Eric Perrault, well in control of this race right now for France.
Can he keep his cool as he drops down to the prone position? His first time into the range. All to himself. 2 for 2. And 3 as well. And 4. And that's 5. And it's a great start in the range for Eric Perrault. Out before Norway have even made their way down to the mat.
That's exactly what France needs to keep doing. They have 0 plus 0 next to their shooting score. You want to win relays? Shoot zeros. That's what you need.
And it's exactly what you've got to do when you're up against such a strong Norwegian side.
See if Strumsheim gives him anything to work with here. Strumsheim very methodical.
And just
slower than Perrault, but it doesn't matter. Got to keep it white, and he does. This is far from over. Remember who goes last for Norway. Johannes Finnes Bø will go up against Emilia Jacquelin for the win if they can keep it close.
It's 2 misses for Bianat and Italy, who finally gets his first hit on 3, again on 4. He'll have to dip into those extra rounds. 2 misses for the USA as well, and Jake Brown.
Brown hits his last 3, though. That's the critical thing, that he came back from those 2 misses. You don't want to just throw it away.
Someone who hasn't, though, is Italy. Bianat.
Oh, penalty loop for Bianat. Italy's chances at a top 3 finish are just about done. Jake Brown gets all 5, but you can see the time that he gave away as those 2 misses have now dropped him down out of the top 5. Ponsaloma into 6th place, 117 back.
Once again, Ukraine having a brilliant day. They're up into 5th. Clean shooting as well. That's what you need to do.
Bianot's finally out of the shooting range in 10th spot. A precipitous fall for the Italians, coming from the 3rd spot at the second exchange, all the way now down to the 8th spot or 10th spot after shooting number 5. And that's a great example of how biathlon works. In these relays, if you use the extra rounds and end up in the penalty loop, you'll lose a minute plus. Here's Perrault, all by his lonesome out front now. The gap after shooting 5, 33.9 seconds. Perrault gives a few seconds away to Strömsheim, and that was not really critical, however, as they both hit 5. So Strömsheim just trying to do anything he can to give Johannes Tingnes a chance at catching France in the last leg.
So 33.9 was the time that, as he came out of shooting, it's up to 34.9 now. From Eric Perrault back down to the Norwegian team and Strömsheim. This is Germany and Navrat. 50.5 down on Eric Perrault.
Still solidly in the fight, though.
What a comeback this is for Sweden and Ponsiluoma. 1 minute 14.
This is what I was expecting. If Jake Brown wanted to get a ride into the top 3, he needed to actually match Ponsiluoma on the range or beat him. And he had 2 extra shots to Ponsiluoma had used 2 extra rounds, as did Jake Brown, but Brown used them more slowly than Ponsiluoma.
Ponsiluoma will have to keep this up, though, if he's got a hand over in the best position to give Sebastian Samuelsson as much of a chance of getting onto the podium as he can. We know just how quick Samuelsson can be. Saw plenty of it yesterday. He'll have his eyes on a second podium in as many days. 19.4K.
French team riding perfect shooting so far in this men's relay, and that is really why they lead. It's only a 1-shot difference to Norway, so also skiing very well by comparison. And we keep talking about the fact that they have fresh legs, but they definitely aren't out skiing the French. Here now is Strömsheim.
Yep, this French team are acquitting themselves incredibly well through the first 3 legs. Strömsheim has moved up to top of his forehead. And you can see that steely focus.
Losing more time, though. The last time check was 34. This is not going to help the Norwegian cause. The French have the Norwegians where they want them right now at 39 seconds back, with one more shooting stage in the ski loop before the final exchange. This is a good situation for the French to actually take the victory from Norway today.
15 seconds behind Norway is Germany. Ponsiluoma approaching that 19.4 mark now. About halfway up the wall. We'll get the clocking, and there it is. Well, he's dropped time as well. Lost 2 seconds.
Yeah, he just doesn't look like himself. He doesn't look like the Ponsiluoma that we know at his best. It's a little more labored than we're used to seeing him. Dudchenko for Ukraine doing a great job keeping them in the mix of the top 5. Jake Brown making up some of that time on those teams ahead of him. Felix Leitner has joined Brown for Austria right on 1 second back of him. We got a nice pack chasing that top 5 race.
Yeah, Dudchenko 6th in the mixed team yesterday. Also on the 3rd leg for that one. Perrault.
The opportunities to catch France. Going to dry up here if Perrault keeps it clean.
And he's doing just that. 4 for 4. Can he go clean? He does. It's incredible shooting from France. A big thumbs up.
He even had a break of the rhythm with a sort of a half ejection of the round, and he had to break rhythm for just a second. But that's a sign of an athlete who's really in tune with where they are shooting, is when you have a little break in that rhythm, and it doesn't really throw you off your game. France leading this World Cup opening men's relay with perfect shooting on the range. Norway, you'd think Norway with the 0-1 right now would be leading by a minute, and they're back by 40 seconds coming in to shooting number 6.
They're 3 for 3, 4 for 4, but they can't make it 5. Stronsheim just stuttering on the final.
Almost didn't go down. You could hear it was a trip bullet, but he gets out of there unscathed. Navrat with a miss. Sweden chasing.
Well, this opened the door for Sweden to come back into it. Ponsiluoma struggled on that last lap. Yet to take his first shot. And there it is. Germany still struggling. 3 for 3 goes Sweden. It's 4. Can Sweden lead? And they will go clear.
It's going to be a great next loop between Navrat, who's the strongest of the skiers on the German squad right now. Maybe he and Johannes Kuhn about equal, up against Ponsiluoma.
Navrat just coming through, just ahead. Ponsiluoma fractionally behind, just 1 second between those two.
Ukraine out of the range first for the race for the top 5 spots. The podium spots look like they're just about taken up at this point. The time ticking away, now at 140 back. The United States still just too many missed shots to be in it.
Yeah, Finland up into 6th. I mentioned them particularly much today.
Brown moves into 8th spot, 159 back for the United States. He's used 4 extra rounds on the day.
Finland, they've been out of the top 10 for most of this race so far.
Yeah, they moved up to 6th now. Great performance for the home team.
As we're back on course with Eric Perrault. 21.2. He's just gone through. The gap back to Norway was 47.2. Well, that, you can imagine, we're getting a little bit bigger. Is still on time.
Pretty solid off that recovery is Stronsheim. Slowing down a little bit, though, at the end of the race. As you see, he's been dropping time to Eric Perrault. Perrault's now moved up to 50 seconds ahead of Stronsheim at the 21.2 kilometer mark.
Yeah, the gap is opening. Stronsheim going backwards on where he came out at that final shooting.
But we've seen bigger gaps swallowed up by Johannes Tinglesbø. The question is he going to be primed enough to catch the Jacques Deland in the last leg of this relay? Here's Ponsiluoma now, making the move around Germany into 3rd, putting the Swedes into medal position. You're going to have a showdown between Sebastian Samuelsson, who was 9th in the overall World Cup standings last year, against Philip Horn, who was 20th. So not a huge discrepancy between the two, but certainly Sebastian Samuelsson is a stronger and more decorated athlete than Horn of Germany.
Yeah, and it felt like Ponsiluoma knew that as he launched what seemed to be quite decisive attack there to go up into 3rd. Back with our leader as he approaches the wall. Lap 9 of 12. 21.9 kilometers, the next checkpoint. And he is well clear. 50.6, the last gap.
Waiting to see if Stronsheim is dropping any more time. Now, Perrault has done his job. He's skied a great third leg. He competed yesterday as well. So Perot, maybe a little bit primed from yesterday's race, putting time on Stromsheim. Here's Stromsheim now into the wall. Kind of veered to his left. I don't know why he was moving that way. Maybe he wants a little bit more firm ground on the track to the left.
Yeah, we've seen a few of the athletes as he takes a tumble, and that is not where he wants to be.
No.
It's so hard to regain your rhythm, and you can see the impact of that on his face. He grits his teeth and drives up the wall, but that will affect the timings. He's 54.9 down now.
The time keeps slipping away for Norway. It's not in big chunks, but it's in many small chunks, and it's adding up to a lot. 54 seconds, it's going to be near a minute at the exchange. Ponsaloma trying to move up on the leaders as well. He's gone from 116 back to 106, so going better than yesterday's close of the race. It's
an 11-second gap he's opened up on the German team as well. So Ponsaloma doing everything he can to put Sebastian Samuelsson into a prime position to get a third podium in 3 races for Sweden. It would be an incredible start to the season if they can do it today.
This was the Ponsaloma that I was looking for at the last loop of yesterday's race. It shows up today after a single race, kind of primed the pump, and now a nice race for Finland. They move into the top 5, and the Finns would love to see the Finns in the top 5. They haven't been in the top 5 in quite some time.
Well, they were down as low as 14th when you look back. Managed to really, on that third leg, work their way up now into 5th, which is a great position. They are, however, 143 down on Eric Perot.
The United States really needs to be in contention with a team like Finland if they want to try to get to the podium. They need to be able to compete against them in a situation like this. Right now, the difference between Finland and the United States is just 20 seconds, but the United States has 6 more extra rounds than the Finns, and that's the difference.
So Jacquelin on this final leg for France. He was also on the final leg yesterday and was beaten in the home straight. It was such a dramatic end to the race, beaten by Norway, who will be trying to chase him down once again. We saw something quite spectacular yesterday. Well, Chad, what do you think the chances are of that happening again today? France have just performed so well, haven't they, going clear? It's been an incredible shooting performance, but it is Johannes Tingersbø on this final leg. Will he be able to eat up that gap?
I think you can see that the athletes who raced yesterday looked like that first race might have helped a little bit with the ability to push. And as a coach, I know that. Like, a lot of times I've taken athletes into championship events and been a little bit cautious with their intensity. But often you need intensity to get the intensity, and you can see the difference in Ponsaloma today. He actually threw down that last lap, where he had no ability to do that yesterday.
He's 3.6 seconds quicker on that third leg than Eric Perot, which is incredible when you look at just how tough it seemed that finish, that last lap was for him yesterday, to be the quickest out on the course. Yeah, it's been a brilliant third leg for Ponsaloma and Sweden.
Ponsaloma's time on that lap alone is 18 seconds faster than Eric Perot. That's how fast he skied that last lap. That's the Ponsaloma I was looking for yesterday. And I think you were kind of like, as kind of a new commentator in the sport, Ellen, you were kind of like, what are you talking about? He's really pretty slow. But that's the now you see the Ponsaloma that I was expecting yesterday.
Well, he certainly has it in his repertoire, the ability to do that, and he's used it to really good avail today, because he has put the incredibly quick Sebastian Samuelsson in a prime position, and you can see him there glued to the back of Johannes Tingersbø.
Now Norway has to worry about dealing with Sweden. That's for second. And, I think that this is not what the Norwegian team came here to do. Like we said before, they don't come here to get second. They come here to win. And now they have a huge job to catch up to the French. But he does have somebody to work with in that process.
That is a very good point, Chad. As we're on board with the athletes in second and third at the moment. Nothing between these two. They are 57 seconds down on Jacquelin.
Johannes Bø matched stride for stride by Sebastian Samuelsson. I have to say, Samuelsson was not one of the athletes who I thought looked flat yesterday. He skied quite well in the opening race. Here's the German horn now. Thought he was going to maybe be doing battle for a bronze medal position with Samuelsson, but Ponsaluma turned that train right around, catching Andres Stransheim on his heels.
It's about 25 seconds between Samuelsson and Horn. So there is a possibility that it could swing the other way. And Samuelsson is stuck to the back of Johannes Tingersberg.
But you can see that dynamic shift, that the gap that Ponsaluma made up in that last loop completely reshaped the race entirely, at least for silver and bronze.
Not for the leader of the race. It is France and Jacqueline, who haven't put a foot wrong over the course of this race, and particularly with Eric Perrault on that penultimate leg.
Should point out that the fastest time of each leg of this relay wins some extra prize money at the end of the day. It's a new rule by the IBU, and they're hoping that it kind of creates an incentive for athletes to, even if their team's not in it, that there's some prize money involved and a cream for your efforts.
That's something, of course, that we will keep an eye on when this race draws to a close, and of course later on this afternoon when we are back for the women's 4x6 kilometres. That's 5:20 Central European time. And the gap, well, it is being closed by 2 seconds. And it's Samuelsson who is just under a second ahead of Johannes Tingersberg. Philip Horn.
In a terrible position is Philip Horn. He's in 4th spot with nobody to work with. It's kind of a lonesome place to be. And, kind of a coulda, shoulda, woulda situation for Germany with the spectacular last loop of the Swede Ponsaluma. Of course, seeming to break down, though, is Fabian Claude has the fastest first leg time in 1933. Tomaso Giacomel leads the second leg, 1932, Ponsaluma in 1945, so it's slowing down each leg.
So into the range for the first time, Jacqueline. Can he continue France's perfect form? 3 for 3, 4 for 4. Can he make 5? He does indeed. It's exceptional from France.
Every single shot in the dead center X of the target. That would have been a great group in a shooting competition, and he did it in about 12 seconds.
It's perfection. It's brilliant from France, and each and every one of this 4-man quartet are doing their bit in ensuring that they can keep that gap back to the 5-time overall Crystal Globe winner, who is tucked in there just behind Sebastian Samuelsson. They drop down together.
Now the battle for silver. These athletes know each other very well.
Sweden 3 for 3, 4 for 4.
Oh, and a miss by Johannes. Making his task just that much tougher. Norway came back late in the mixed relay yesterday to take the win. They're going to have to do the same thing today. But they're going to be over a minute back by the time Johannes Tingersberg makes his way to the time check, and they're going to be in 3rd place.
Samuelsson now 52.5 down on Jacqueline. You see Johannes Tingersberg sat in 3rd. He has work to do.
So the top 3 spots are sewn up, as is the 4th. Germany going to be trailing by over 20 seconds. The podium spots going to be 27 seconds back of the 3rd place. So they start the season off the podium, and that would be the first time since the 2023 season that they would be off the podium.
So a miss for Finland, but then clean on the next 4. Ukraine clean. They're 5. And Ukraine will lead Otto in Vilnius. And Finland out of the range. Ukraine in 5th. Finland 6th. France confidently leading the way.
Sean Doherty leaves the range for the United States in 7th, behind Finland by 10 seconds as we go back to the front of the field. And Emilien Jacquelin left the shooting range from the 7th visit by 52.5 seconds ahead of the Swedes. There's just not much Johannes Tingesbø can do at this point. There's too much time to make up. The course conditions are too fast. And Jacquelin looks good on the skis. He's not really ceding any time to the Norwegian over the course of this third leg so far.
The lead very much out of his hands. Let's see what the gap is to Sebastian Samuelsson. Sebastian Samuelsson coming through, 57 seconds down on Jacquelin, and Johannes Thingers 62 seconds down on the leader. So just 5 seconds separating those two now. So that gap has, well, it's gone down by about 2 seconds. Johannes Thingers has been able to close. Philip Horn through now. 30 seconds behind Johannes Tingesbø.
Horn looks fine. He doesn't have anybody to race at this point. He's just all by his lonesome out there. But Johannes Tingesbø is going to have to do something spectacular, I think, even just to catch Samuelsson. Samuelsson looks very solid in his ski form right now. In fact, he's skiing about, he's matching Johannes Tingesbø ski-wise, nearly stride for stride. He's lost a few seconds in that last time check from 26.2 kilometers. He's 52.7 back. And he's come 3 seconds closer now to Johannes, so losing 3 seconds over the last kilometer or so. And you can see that Samuelsson is probably not pushing very hard. He's probably just trying to maintain his composure and make sure that he's ready to hit the shots. He may not even mind if Johannes Tingesbø catches him, because it gives him a little bit of an advantage knowing that he's not pushing quite as hard into the range.
Yeah, exactly. Johannes Tingesbø has had to do more work to catch up with Samuelsson. He takes a quick look over his shoulder, feels the presence of Tingesbø breathing down his neck. Up the wall they go.
I don't get the sense that Samuelsson is all worried that Johannes Tingesbø is catching back up to him. In fact, he might be pulling him in and maybe trying to pull him offside a little bit and maybe tire him out so that he can maybe get an extra shot on him. He knows that he's probably still going to have trouble disposing of Bø if they're even on the shooting range. So Samuelsson even moving left to let Bø by. Bø doesn't take it though.
And here we go, into the range. One final time for the French team who lead the way. Jacquelin. One final shoot.
At this point, no pressure on him. What you really want to do is come home clean. The team is 0+0 right now. And almost more than the win, almost more than what it delivers. He's got time to miss a shot or two, but boy, it would be nice to finish the day with a 0 next to the team effort.
Oh, and there's the miss. It's finally come. Just one, though. He was so quick, wasn't he, between the second and the third. And it just goes out at 11 o'clock.
You can tell that he feels a little bit of that. He took it a little faster than he needed to, kind of jumped on it, and now there's another miss. Kind of dirtying the possibility of a clean team stage. And I have to think that that's what he shook his head at. But now he actually has to hit this because he's in trouble. If he misses this one, now he's out of there. The French are going to win.
No.
But still a little bit of a shame for Jacquelin to dirty the score.
Him and the French team. Well, they would have wanted perfection, as you can see. Third and fourth, Samuelson and Burke come into the range just behind, just out of shot as Jacqueline made his way round into his final lap. So neck and neck, Norway and Sweden. One final time into the range. It's Sweden who strike first, Norway follow. 2 for 2 go Sweden and Norway now. It's perfect for Norway, and it's a mistake from Samuelson, who takes a deep breath, readjusts.
Oh, and he misses a second as well. And Johannes boat will not catch the French at 41 seconds back, but a nice move forward, nice leap forward with a clean shooting stage. And sort of Johannes Boot didn't have a lot to say about where he got tagged in this race, so he can't feel bad about it. But Norway, they're gonna, they had a perfect score. They won every single relay last year, and they start the season. Got two good races in a row, solid races in a row. Came apart a little bit yesterday, but Jacqueline looked pretty good on this last climb.
Absolutely. Well, he's skiing with that extra bit of freedom that he didn't have yesterday. The gap at 40 seconds, whereas yesterday it all came down to the last 100 metres, and he was beaten by Norway. You could see the disappointment on his face as he stepped up onto the podium yesterday. But today has been a much better day for France.
That victory, that last second victory by Norway yesterday, looking a little bit more important today now as the men dropped the relay win today. And it's been over a year, a season since this team has not won the relay. They dominated last season. In fact, made the relay somewhat boring. The men's relay somewhat boring with how easily they won almost every relay last year. So a little change in the scene on the men's relay for day one of this World Cup season. Still a lot of season to go yet, and obviously the biathlon relay a huge part of the sport and a major focal point of the event.
There'll be another good podium for Sweden as well. Gold and bronze yesterday, and they will once again stand on the bottom step of the podium. Consoloma really putting the work in on the third leg. Well, here comes France. Jacqueline can look around and soak this one up. No danger from behind like yesterday. Him and France performed so well. He points to the badge on his arm. He can celebrate today. France have done it. They've sprung an upset. We'll wait for Norway and Johannes Tingersbo to come round, but it is France who take the victory in our first race of the day. They are victorious here in Kontiolahti. Here comes Johannes Tingersbo. Well, him and Norway would have wanted so much more from today and expected so much more. A full team of fresh legs, but it didn't quite go their way. France, well, a spectacular session of shooting, just dropping the ball twice, and that was, well, Jacqueline, well, he was slightly not so much under pressure in the end and could relax a little bit. It didn't have the impact in the end. France have done it. Norway takes second.
Ellen, nobody is more aware of how hard it is to beat Norway in a relay than this French team. So they are absolutely thrilled. I know that inside they're bursting. They don't want to put it too much in the Norwegian faces as they congratulate each other, but that is even though the race was pretty mundane, it was a tectonic shift in confidence for the French team against this highly touted Norwegian team.
And here comes Sebastian Samuelsson and Sweden. 3 podiums from 3 races, 2 bronze medals and a gold.
Всем спасибо за просмотр. Ребят, ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал. Кто хочет поддержать канал, ссылка на таверс есть под трансляцией. Всем удачи, увидимся в новых видео.